So last week I took myself to Spain with 10 entrepreneurs, and I put myself in an environment where I could be held accountable, where I could be enthused and inspired by other people who are on the same journey as me. Now, I've been part of this mastermind now since 2019. And here are some of my points or key takeaways about why it's so important to develop yourself, not only as an individual, but also the professional side of your life. So the first point is that we can drift into a cycle of complacency, which means that we, in theory, can withstand our own BS that we tell ourselves. We get comfortable being in the position that we're in, and yet we struggle to understand why we don't feel fulfilled, why we don't feel happy, why we're not feeling aligned, why we're missing our edge. And we drift into this life coma where we just accept, where we just put up with, where we think this is it. And one of the things that I have kind of come to learn is that when you are around other people that are as ambitious, driven, or inspired to do well, what that does is it gives you a fire inside of here that really aligns, that really becomes infectious. And when you go away from these things, they allow you to then build on that edge, that fire, and move more away from the drift and more towards a thriving mentality. So when you put yourself in a position to be around those like-minded people, you can only win. You can only move yourself forwards. But if you are the type of guy that wants to stay the same and stay in the same cycle and deal with the same narratives and stay average for the rest of your life, then work on yourself is not one of the things that you align to. But if you're ambitious and you're driven, then being around those type of people and being around that environment is going to be the thing that's going to give you the rocket fuel to get to the next level. The second one is accountability. So look at the relationship that you have with your kids. I often think about my boy, who is now 18, but when he was going to secondary school, I remember when he used to walk through the front door, he would just put his bag down in the hall, leave his shoes in the middle of the hall, sprint upstairs, go and play the Xbox. And I noticed that this was a habit that was forming, and we very quickly squashed it with accountability. So in order for the kid to be able to play the Xbox, he had to follow a certain set of rules and tasks before he could play on his Xbox. That meant putting his bag away, putting his shoes in the shoe rack, means sorting out his packed lunch and putting all the stuff away, making sure that he's done his homework. And once he has done all of that and he's done the chores and he's done the things that he needed to do, then he can enjoy his time on the Xbox. Now that's accountability. It's holding someone accountable for their actions, okay? And if we want to reach higher levels, then we have to be held at a higher level of accountability. Now, the problem for a lot of men, businessmen, leaders, fathers, husbands, is that they're not being held accountable. So what do we do when we're not being held accountable? We leave our bag in the middle of the floor, we leave our shoes in the middle of the floor, and we take the easiest option. So for you in business or in your life, you're looking at the easiest option because you can get away with it. So being accountable for doing the things that you said you were going to do, for being the man that you said you were going to be, for reaching the standards that you said that you were going to set. Being accountable for all of those things is so important to your development, to the way you live your life, and to the success of your personal and professional life. Number 3, having structure to your life. If you go through life and you just cuff it, that is going to be very, very painful. You're going to continuously go around in this cycle of chaos where there are no clear paths or direction for your growth. Your business will stagnate, your career will stagnate, your marriage and relationship with your kids will stagnate. Strategy is about a battle plan. It's about how do I go from A to achieve B. Strategy puts the blueprint behind the goals or the mission, and through that process, we build the character. So we need to be stretched. We need to be more resilient. We need to be more intentional so that when we are moving forwards with those steps, there is a strategy to what we are doing. It's always asking yourself the question, why am I doing this? And if you don't know the answer, then it's more than likely that you don't have a strategy in life, which means that you are drifting. It means that you're one of those zombies from the film Walking Dead. A high performer, a man on a mission, A guy trying to live a legacy has a strategy behind it to get him from A to B, and that becomes part of a much bigger project, which gets you to C. Number 4, to escape. There has to be a little bit of reward when you work really, really hard on yourself. When you're showing up as a father, as a husband, as a business owner, as a leader, we put a lot of work into ourselves. So for me, I look at these retreats as an escape from those responsibilities just for a couple of days while I just go all in on me to level up the rest of my life. It gives me a chance to travel. It gives me a chance to experience new cultures. And I've been all over the world over the last 6 years doing these. A lot of the things that we do with Mission Pro is to give men that exact experience. Now, we go away on retreats with my one-to-one clients, but for all of our other Mission Pro clients, we meet up 3 or 4 times a year where we will get together for the day, where we will connect, we'll open up, we'll talk about our journeys. It's a chance to kind of get together, forget all of the responsibilities, to go all in on us to level up the rest of our lives. And it just means that you're a part of something so much bigger than just your small world that you're trying to survive in. The 5th and final one is clarity. Now, I've hired mentors and coaches to help me get a result quicker, but I've also done it to reduce the amount of stress of trying to figure it out. So whenever I hire someone, I go, how can they move me forwards? What is my ROI? And having that mentor and that coach allows me to have much more clarity about the blueprint, about the mission, about the strategy, about my accountability to moving forwards. And if ever I needed help, I can always fall back on them to ask them for their guidance, for their experience. Now, I've been working with men for nearly 16 years. There is not a situation I haven't come across with a man or a business owner. I know men better than their wives know their husbands. And the thing that I can identify very, very quickly is how we progress and grow very, very quickly. Because we cut all of the BS, we cut all of the cycles. I understand the triggers of men's behaviors before they even recognize they're coming. I know exactly when men are gonna have their highs and when they're gonna have their dips over a 12-month journey, which is why we train them specifically to focus on certain tasks, certain subjects, certain factors that will allow them to overcome those obstacles. So if you're listening to this and you know that you need to work on yourself and you are still wasting time thinking about it, maybe this is the time to act. In the description, there is a link to my Instagram page. Click it, go to my inbox on that Instagram page and comment the word ready, and we will have a chat and make sure that you're a good fit for Mission Pro if you want to come and do some work with us on making sure that you are the leader of your life, that you're building your edge, and that you're growing your future so that you can be the man that you know you want to be and live that legacy. Here's an example right here of Johnny who did exactly that, and he's dramatically changed the way that he lives his life. I look forward to seeing you on the other side.